Namaskar, I am Dr. K.K. Agarwal, Group Editor-in-Chief, IGCP Group. Welcome to our video CME, an initiative of IGCP Group and Himalaya. We are doing a series of lectures on fatty liver disease. And in this segment of the fatty liver disease, we will talk about gradations of fatty liver disease. We know fatty liver disease is associated with metabolic syndrome. We know fatty liver disease today is associated with pot belly obesity. We know that every doctor today is supposed to keep an inchy tape in his office, and if the abdominal circumference is more than 80 centimeter in women and more than 90 centimeter in men, we know the person is suffering from fatty liver disease. We know that fatty liver disease, we need to do an ultrasound and see the severity of fatty liver disease. We also know that in fatty liver disease, we need to do a fibroscan to find out whether the patient is going into cirrhosis or not. And we also know that fatty liver disease may require a liver biopsy to assess presence of non-alcoholic steatohepatitis inside and whether the patient has progressed into cirrhosis or not. That means fatty liver may not be a benign disease. You may get a person with only metabolic syndrome without fatty liver, or insulin resistance without fatty liver, or insulin resistance with simple fatty liver without NASH, or a fatty liver with NASH and a NASH with or without cirrhosis of liver. They require different management. They have different prognosis. They need to be treated differently. I know that at the level of NAFLD, an MBBS doctor can treat. But if a patient has developed NASH or cirrhosis, we may need a consultation from a MD or a DM gastroenterology. Therefore, it is important for us to understand the natural history of a fatty liver disease in every patient. We need to find out whether this fatty liver disease is with normal SGOT, SGPT levels or with high SGOT, SGPT levels. If normal, whether it is normal or patient has already gone into a cirrhosis of liver. Do my patient require a vaccine with hepatitis B? The answer is yes. Do my patient requires to stop alcohol? The answer is yes. At what stage of NAFLD I need to give UDCA? At what stage I need to give vitamin E 400 milligram twice a day? And can I continue herbal compounds? Most of the people on liver disease will also be on Liver 52, which is a brand name from Himalaya. Why brand name? Because it has herbal preparations, and the law allows us that whenever a drug contains more than 2 ingredients, I can talk and write a brand. There are no restriction in its prescription only by an Ayurvedic doctor, that if a modern system of medicine finds that this drug has been tested, published by a modern system of doctors, in modern system of journals, and with the evidence-based medicine, then I can, with informing the patient, I can combine it with my modern system of drugs. Therefore, it becomes important for us to know and to listen to a complete series on fatty liver disease to get all the answers. So let's have the answers from Dr. Manav Vadhavan, who is a director and the chief of hepatology and liver transplant medicine. He is a director at Fortis Escorts Liver and Digestive Disease Institute in New Delhi. Let's listen to him all about fatty liver disease so that we should be able to get an answer how to manage fatty liver disease in our clinical practice. Enjoy the CME.
Welcome friends, I am Dr. Manav Vadhavan. I am Director at Liver and Digestive Disease Institute at Fortis Escorts Hospital in Delhi. We discussed in the last module about the relationship of NAFLD with diabetes. We'll go a step further now. What we'll do is we'll talk about how a non-alcoholic fatty liver disease goes on to develop a progressive liver disease. So we need to understand two terms here. We need to understand NAFLD is a blanket term. So all forms of fatty liver will be called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. You classify non-alcoholic fatty liver disease into a simple fatty liver, which is a benign fatty liver with no fibrosis, with no inflammation, and in the longer run, the patients usually do not have a bad prognosis. They will do as well as the general population. The other differential here, the other part of the spectrum here is what we call non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. You define non-alcoholic steatohepatitis by presence of inflammation in the liver. The diagnosis actually is histological, but you can diagnose even without a liver biopsy the presence of non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, which we'll call NASH from here onwards, with two parameters. One is SGPT or ALT levels. The second is presence or absence of fibrosis. Once non-alcoholic steatohepatitis develops, from here on the patient, if it is not controlled, if it is not treated, from inflammation the patient will develop fibrosis. From fibrosis the patient goes to the end of the spectrum, which is called cirrhosis. Cirrhosis means irreversible damage of the liver parenchyma. That means liver becomes hard. The fibrosis is so much that it becomes irreversible, and patient now has a risk of developing ascites, jaundice and hepatocellular carcinoma. So NAFLD will encompass simple fatty liver to non-alcoholic steatohepatitis to cirrhosis to hepatocellular carcinoma. All these come under the blanket of NAFLD. As a physician, our job is to differentiate our patients into two subgroups. One subgroup is simple fatty liver, which does not have any adverse prognosis. The other subgroup is non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. That is what we are going to talk about, how it goes on. So in every patient whom you diagnose fatty liver, so friends, once you see a fatty liver on an ultrasound, the basic minimum investigation which all of us should be doing is, one, we should do a LFT to look at bilirubin, AST, ALT levels. Second, we should rule out viral causes of liver disease, hepatitis B and hepatitis C has to be ruled out. Third, the metabolic screen, which is mandatory. So why metabolic screen is mandatory? Because the risk factors for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is metabolic syndrome. So this patient who has been diagnosed as fatty liver disease should be tested for diabetes, presence or absence of diabetes by a blood sugar fasting and HbA1c. You should always get a lipid profile for this patient. And in addition to these two, you should look at hypertension. So these factors, if are there, are predisposing to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and they are the ones which will lead to development of a non-alcoholic steatohepatitis from a simple fatty liver. So once this is done, now you classify your patients into simple fatty liver and NASH, and the parameters on the basis of which you classify these two are, one, a liver function test, second, a fibrosis assessment. So fibrosis assessment is done by a simple test called FibroScan. It is available widely these days. It is also known as elastography at some centers. So we need to remember that FibroScan and elastography are mutually replaceable terms. FibroScan is a brand name, elastography is a generic name. So if elastography is good to diagnose fibrosis, as good as a FibroScan. If your patient has normal liver function tests and has no fibrosis, you don't need specific treatment for fatty liver disease, but you still need to manage the risk factors. So the management, the treatment will depend on what risk factors you have identified, as in whether the patient is obese, whether the patient has diabetes, whether the patient has hypertension, and whether the patient has dyslipidemia. Once you diagnose non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, that means either the ALT is raised or the fibrosis is there, then still you need to treat the risk factors, but specific treatment for non-alcoholic steatohepatitis also comes into picture here. Before I go to the specific treatment which we need to do for these patients, one important fact I thought I will bring to your notice is regarding the ALT levels. So all of you would have come across various reports of ALT. Some labs will report 72 as a normal upper limit, some labs will report 58 as a normal limit, some will report 65, some will report 40. What we need to understand is the normal ALT values have been brought down to around 35. So if you talk about the data which is available, the data is usually mostly either Western data or from eastern part of Asia. Japanese data is available, Korean data is available. There is one study available from India which screened a normal population, healthy population, and came up with a ALT level of 35 as the upper limit of normal. So for all practical purposes, if your lab tells you that the upper limit of normal is 72, kindly don't believe it. Usually most of the labs are reporting above 40 as abnormal. We recommend that 35 should be the normal limit of upper limit. Normal upper limit should be 35. So anything above 35 is abnormal. Fibrosis assessment I've already talked about. So on the basis of a ALT and a fibrosis assessment, you diagnose the patient at non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. Now once you have diagnosed NASH, the implications are huge, because if NASH is not controlled, not treated, this is a patient who is going to develop cirrhosis and maybe a hepatocellular carcinoma. So what treatment options do we have for these patients? Standard drug therapy which has been used most commonly and has been shown to be very effective is vitamin E. Vitamin E at a dose of 800 IU per day has been shown to improve NASH over a period of 6 months to 1 year. The problem is that the treatment of NAFLD with vitamin E is currently recommended only for non-diabetic population. It is not recommended for diabetic population. It is not that it does not work, it works in diabetic population, but the safety has not been documented. That's the reason it is not recommended. So you are not wrong in using, in a selected subgroup of patients, even in diabetics we are using vitamin E as a treatment option, but we have to be more careful in using that drug in diabetics. Another anti-diabetic medication which has been used for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease even in non-diabetic population was pioglitazone. Now pioglitazone, we all understand, is a PPAR gamma agonist, and it has been shown to improve NAFLD again when it is used over a period of 6 months to 1 year. It used to be a favorite, it is actually recommended for NAFLD, but it used to be a favorite drug of liver specialists like us maybe 2 years, 3 years from now. Most of us have now started not using this drug for a simple reason that whatever benefit you get in NAFLD is actually counterbalanced by the weight gain which these patients have. So pioglitazone, or for that matter thiazolidinediones, are not recommended, not the preferred drugs to be used these days. There are two newer drugs which are likely to be available in a very short span of time. I imagine that what I come to know is in next 6 months time we should have these two drugs available. One of them is called obeticholic acid, the other one is called elafibranor. These are two new drugs which are likely to be marketed in India in next 6 months time, and they have been shown to be useful in patients who develop NASH. Please remember that with the drugs which we are talking about are for NASH, not for simple fatty livers. I have already clarified that simple fatty liver does not need specific treatment, it only needs risk factor management. So vitamin E is recommended, pioglitazone is recommended, but we don't like using it because of obvious side effect of weight gain. Obeticholic acid and elafibranor are two drugs which are likely to be available and are currently recommended. One more drug which is currently available, and it's actually an Indian drug. It's actually has been developed by an Indian pharma company and it is being marketed at an NAFLD, is saroglitazar. Now saroglitazar is a PPAR alpha plus gamma agonist. The PPAR gamma agonist activity is much lower. So the usual side effects which we had seen with thiazolidinediones are not seen with saroglitazar. The patients have not reported weight gain, and initial studies are the proof of concept studies have shown that it may help in improvement in NASH patients. Now these are very early studies, it is not recommended, but we are using that drug as a part of clinical trials. More data is awaited, but I guess in future that may be the drug which we will be most commonly using for NAFLD patients. So a special mention about patients who have diabetes as well as non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. They need treatment for glycemic control and they need treatment for non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. Now there are two drugs which are used for diabetes which have been shown to be very effective in controlling NASH also. We need to remember those and we need to use them whenever we can in the management of this subset of patients. One drug is age-old metformin. Metformin in various studies has been shown to improve non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NASH, and it is useful even in patients who have early cirrhosis. The other drug which is recently, not recently, it has been there for quite some time, but GLP agonists like liraglutide have been found to be useful in treatment of NASH patients who have diabetes. There are studies even in cirrhotic patients that use of these drugs may lead to reversal of fibrosis when they have diabetes as well as NASH. So these are two drugs which we should be using more commonly when we are managing diabetes and patients of NASH together. I think I'll end here. Thank you. We'll see you in the next module.